Okay, let's head to the vast, almost empty highways of South Africa's Karoo region. This is a place of just deafening silence and endless horizons. And it's right here on a really lonely stretch of road, but one of the country's most famous and most chilling ghost stories was born. Can you just imagine that for a second? You're riding your motorcycle at night, deep in the middle of nowhere, and then you feel this. This is a real, terrifying account from a guy named Andre Coetzee, and he's just one of several people who've had a truly harrowing encounter on South Africa's N9 highway. So this road between the tiny towns of Uniondale and Willamore, it's infamous. It was a Good Friday night, back in 1980, when Andre Coetzee felt those phantom arms wrap right around his waist. He freaked out, of course, and accelerated, but whatever it was, it didn't just let go. No. It hit him 3 times on his crash helmet, these really hard blows, almost like it was demanding him to slow down. He had to push his bike all the way to 160 kilometers an hour before the presence just vanished. And here's the thing. Coetzee's experience wasn't some one-off event. For years, drivers and motorcyclists have been reporting these bizarre encounters with a female hitchhiker who just appears and disappears without a trace. So the question is, who is she? Well, the identity of this spectral hitchhiker is widely believed to be a young woman named Maria Charlotte Rue, or Ria to our family. In her story, it doesn't actually begin with a haunting. It starts with a very real and very sudden tragedy. It all happened on a stormy Easter weekend back in 1968. Ria and her fiancé Jill were driving to see her parents. Actually, to talk about their wedding plans. Ria was asleep in the back of their little VW Beetle when a huge, powerful gust of wind just slammed into the car. Gil lost control, the car overturned, and just like that, Ria was killed instantly. Gil survived, but his life and the folklore of that entire region was about to change forever. So why would her spirit linger there? The folklore has a couple of explanations. One theory is that she's just forever trying to complete that journey to her parents' house. But there's another, kind of more heartbreaking idea, that because she went from being asleep directly to death, her spirit is confused, maybe not even aware of what actually happened to her. Now, here's a really curious detail. The ghost stories didn't start right away. The very first documented sighting wasn't until 1976. That's a full 8 years after the accident. But, once they began, they started to create this pattern of chillingly similar encounters that would go on for decades. Just look at the pattern that emerges here. In 76, a guy named Anton Lagrange picks up a woman, she gives him an address, and then, poof, she vanishes from his passenger seat, leaving behind this blood-curdling scream. Then in 78, another motorcyclist, Davy van Jaarsveld, gives her a lift. She even puts on his spare helmet. Kilometers down the road, she's gone, but the helmet still securely fastened to the bite. And then, of course, you've got Andre Coetzee's absolutely terrifying ride in 1980. So what took this from just a local rumor to, a serious legend? Police involvement. After his encounter, a really shaken Anton Lagrange went straight to the Uniondale police. A sergeant nicknamed Snowy Pa Jeter actually agreed to follow him back to the spot. And as they drove, Pa Jeter himself saw the rear door of Lagrange's car open and close slowly, all by itself, as if someone had just gotten out. Having that official corroboration, that gave the story a whole new level of credibility. And the Uniondale hitchhiker isn't some kind of anomaly out there. The Karoo is a region that's just steeped in folklore. There's an area between Ceres and Beaufort West that people literally call the Spookveld, which means ghost plain. The landscape itself, with its vast emptiness and just eerie silence, it almost feels like it breeds these kinds of unsettling tales, as if the stories are rising up from the dust. Yeah, the Uniondale ghost has company. And frankly, some of it is even more terrifying. In a nearby mountain pass, people report seeing a driverless black car glowing with this red light that passes right through other vehicles. And then there's the other phantom hitchhiker in that same pass, a far more sinister legend. Giving her a ride isn't just spooky, it's said to be a death sentence. Over the years, the story of Maria Rue grew way beyond a local ghost story that people whispered about in a small town. It actually wove its way right into the fabric of South African popular culture. It became a true national phenomenon. I mean, the legend's influence is everywhere. The musician Anton Goosen wrote a famous song about it. In 2014, a movie came out that, believe it or not, took a romantic comedy approach to the story. In the town of Uniondale itself, there's even a statue dedicated to the ghost. And today, of course, the story is finding a whole new audience on platforms like TikTok and Reddit, keeping the tale alive for a brand new generation. But it's really important to pause here for a moment. Because behind the movie and the songs and all the campfire stories, there is a very real tragedy. This ghost story has a human heart. And for the family of Maria Roques, the legend has been nothing but a source of recurring pain. This really powerful quote comes from Franz Rue, Ria's older brother, from an interview years after the legend really took off. He was just pleading for the stories to stop, explaining that every single time the ghost was sensationalized, his family's grief was ripped open all over again. It's such a critical reminder that what's a fun ghost story for some is a really painful memory for others. So why has this particular story had such a powerful and lasting grip on people? Well, part of the answer is that the Uniondale ghost isn't unique. She is a perfect South African example of a story archetype that you can find all over the world. This archetype is known as the vanishing hitchhiker, and the story of Maria Roques fits the pattern absolutely perfectly. You've got the tragic death on a specific road, the ghostly figure asking for a ride, and that mysterious disappearance from a moving car. And this is definitely not just a South African thing. You can find almost identical stories told about lonely roads in the United States, in Canada, in Ireland, and all across the globe. It's a kind of tale that just taps into our collective fears. Fears of desolate highways, of the unknown, and of unfinished business reaching out from beyond the grave. Which leaves us with a final, pretty thought-provoking question. Is there really something supernatural haunting that stretch of road in the Karoo? Or do these stories keep going because they reflect something deep inside all of us? Our fascination with mortality, our empathy for tragic loss, and our very human need to find some kind of meaning in the unexplained. Do the stories haunt the roads, or do they haunt us?